The Mississippi Trellis Williams podcast is in session, and today we are in Vicksburg, Mississippi, right here with my grandmother, Lucille Shared. Grandmommy, thank you for joining the podcast.
I'm happy to join.
For sure. And so you've lived in Mississippi your whole life? You were born
born in Bovina, Mississippi.
Born in Bovina, so
Yeah.
just a little bit east of here.
Yeah. And my mom got married before I was a year old, so she moved to Vicksburg. They moved to Vicksburg, to Vine Street. And actually, she stayed there until she moved to South Street
Okay.
in Vicksburg.
And that's where you grew up for a lot of your childhood?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your childhood. So I know that there were some things that happened. You were in school. You had to get out of school to help take care of the family. Tell us about that.
Well, I had gone to school. My mother got sick when I was in that. We're coming out of the 8th grade, going into the 9th grade. She had a stroke, and that put her in the hospital for a while.
Yeah.
And then my stepdad moved her out of the hospital when he had his friend lady needed to go in. So she had been in the hospital for a long time though, and he moved her back home and put the lady in. So we had nobody's home with the little kids. We had 3 brothers that weren't school age yet. So somebody had to, stay home. Anyway, when my mom come out of the hospital, she couldn't get up and walk. She was paralyzed down her left side, I believe. And someone had to be there. So she couldn't get up, so we had to do the bed pain and all that. We give her a bath and stuff like that.
Were you there when she had the stroke?
Yes.
So you saw it?
Yeah, right there by her, because they had gone to church. She and her husband had gone to church, and when she came home, she was getting ready to pull off her jewelry, and she reached up to do the necklace and just clamped that necklace like that and fell right down by the bed. I was standing right here looking at her.
What went through your mind at that point?
Didn't know what was the problem. Your child thinks that they're dying,
Mm-hmm.
But ran over. We didn't have a phone, so the lady across the street, our neighbor, she had a telephone, so called the ambulance and took her to Johnson Clinic. That's where he wanted her to go.
Yeah. So, did she end up making a full recovery, or was she always paralyzed on
She
the
was
left side?
always paralyzed, yes. But, she couldn't, her speech was, she didn't have a good plain speech,
Yeah.
So finally she could say a few words. At first she couldn't say anything but nee, nee, nee. And she could call seal. She couldn't say seal. So that's how and she motioned. And sometimes when she get frustrated if we didn't know what she was saying.
Yeah.
She thought that we should know what she was saying.
Yeah. That sounds pretty frustrating there. But so in your family, how many siblings did you have, and where were you in the family?
I'm the second child, and Anne's older, and then we got a brother after me, and other brothers after me. Barbara came after my first brother came. Then Barbara, and then the other little ones.
Yes.
My mom had 9 children. One little girl died at age 1 with the 3-day pneumonia. And
were you around when that happened?
right there at the bed with her.
How old were you?
Standing there.
How old were you at that time?
About 7 or 8 or something like that. Or 9. I don't know.
Yeah. So you said it was a pneumonia.
Pneumonia, 3-day pneumonia they called it at that time.
Okay. Did you so? And I know when you were 7, this would be 1944, right? Right around there. So this would be the time of like World War II.
Yeah.
So did you have people close to you, like family members that were gone off?
My uncle went off. Yeah. It was just the 3 of them. My mom had a sister and a brother, and herself, and yeah, he went to service. He was married, had 2 children. They were small. And while he was gone, she went back to Laurel, Mississippi. That's where her home.
Okay.
He stayed in the service for a long time, though.
Oh, he stayed after the war?
He stayed in the service?
He stayed in the service after the war was over as well?
Well, I don't know, because I was still small.
Yeah.
I was about, I was going to school, but I don't, whether the war, I don't think the war was over. I don't really know what day that, what time, what year or anything that he came back.
Okay, yeah.
But they always were close together, my mom and my aunt and my uncle.
Yes, and so I know that you were 14 years old when your mother had the stroke and you had to...
between 13 and 14, yeah.
Right between then, so we had to kind of take care of a lot of the stuff for the family.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that was, because I know that had to be a lot on your shoulders there. Definitely life-altering.
Well, it wasn't, at that time, it didn't seem like, just wanted to have some food, because nobody was there working. Ann was 15 when she had Juanita. And of course, you couldn't get a job when you're 15. You had to be 16, so she was close to 16. So when she got to 16, she got her a job. Yeah. That helped out a little. But the lady next door, she went down to the welfare office and said she was going to send someone out to get someone to come out and talk to us about, a check or something, or food or whatever. But anyway, when the lady got there, I told her, don't put my name on that paper.
Yeah.
Goodness, that was something. But I didn't want her to. I don't know why I didn't want her to, but I just didn't want her to put my name down. But I said my daddy was sending me, and my dad was up in Gary now. In fact, he went before I was born, and to get a job so he could make more money, and he just never did come back. Because he had told my mom that before I was born, he told her, before he went to Indiana, he was in Gary, Indiana, said that I was Mr. Butterfield's, a guy that had a store out there right across the big black bridge.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my mom said, you're lying. But when my dad came, when I finally saw my dad, he came. I was about 11 years old because he just didn't come back to Vicksburg. Well, so he had family out there in Bovana, but he just didn't visit much,
Mm-hmm. How many other children did he have? Do you have another family?
Yeah, he had children. He had a daughter that lives in Chicago, by his wife, and and he has let me see, Tom is deceased, and Richard, but Tom said Richard is my dad's. This family like that.
Yeah, so you said you saw your dad when you were 11. Was that the first time you had seen him in a while? Like,
I had never seen him until then.
Until then, wow. So did you always wonder where he was? Did you ask a lot of questions?
I didn't ask no questions. I didn't ask anything because my mom didn't say much about him, But people out in the county, out in Bovana, they knew, so they must tell me about him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. But like I say, he had sisters out there in Bovana, but he wasn't coming at the time. He wasn't coming to see them that regularly. He came to a funeral, but I didn't see him. He came to one of his sisters died. But Miss Ham, I was staying with. Ann and I was out with Miss Ham because my dear had left her husband and went down on South Street. That's how she got there. Is she had gone to her dad's house because he wasn't living in it anyway, but he let her stay there, and she was pregnant with Barbara, and that's why we was out there with Miss Ham, Ann and I, and yeah, so Ann was old enough to go to school, but I wasn't. But Miss Ham wouldn't let Ann go by alone, so she sent me along to school with her.
Oh, wow.
Out there in the county, you know, they had from the first grade to the 12th grade in one room in a church building at that time. Okay. So I was supposed to be going in the first grade, you know, and I wasn't old enough to be in first grade. But anyway, we went, and one day we were walking to school and went through a pasture because that was the shortest way, you know, and a bull got at us.
A bull?
Uh-huh. And we had to run and get across the barbed wire fence. We made it. Went on to school.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so the bull, like, actually started running?
Yeah, tried running at us.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, we was running toward us, and we took off, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crazy memory right there.
Well,
Is this when you were little? It was like 6 or...
No, I wasn't 6 because 6 you can go to school. I was between 4 and 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. That's something else. So all right. So I wanted to ask you as well. So right here around Vicksburg, what was it like in this time, like the early 50s, the 40s, and the 50s? Like, what was it like out here? Because it had to be a lot different than it is now.
Oh yeah, much different than it is now. In the 50s, I was I was a teenager.
Yeah. Teenager in the early 50s, yeah.
Yeah, 50s. I don't. What do you mean? What do you mean that like?
I just mean like one thing I wanted to ask you, like when it came to food, you were talking about getting food.
Oh.
Like what was the grocery store you went to? What was the
Piggly Wiggly right up here on Washington Street, or in the Jungle right up there on South Street. In the Jungle's right there where the bank is now.
Okay, and I know Piggly Wiggly was like I think the first grocery store like in America. You know, so were they coming up at that?
Huh?
Were there a lot of those, or was it just the one in Vicksburg?
In Vicksburg at the time. Piggly Wiggly was just one at that time. And one's in the Jungle, which the Nasses owned. But Nasses had several stores in Vicksburg. Over on Adams Street, over on Washington Street. And, had 5 stores, I believe.
Yep. So obviously,
but I was working at the big one when I started work. I started working when I was 16 also.
Okay, and where did you work?
In Jungle.
Okay.
On South Street, but I went to in Ann's place. She wanted me to hold her job till she go and find her another job. And Aunt Doo lived right in the house next to us, so she kind of watched the boys for a little while to go to work, or Ann get off and come home. Yeah, but anyway, I started to hold her job for her. She found a job at Coca-Cola bottling company, so then I kept the job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How long did you work there?
Till 86. Till he decided that he wasn't gonna do a store anymore. So that's P. Jr.
Wow. So
the big store had burned. So where the bank is, it had burned.
Okay, so when you were 16 to that point, that's like 33 years working at that store.
For a long time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so it changed its name, right? Or did it stay?
After he sold out, yeah, it changed names.
Okay.
But it was still a legitimate company. See, old man Nasser bought what they buy when stores go into another store, but same store.
Like a merger? or an acquisition, or
he bought for 100 years. He bought this. I know what it's called, but I can't call it.
Okay.
But anyway, he bought that for 100 years. Okay, but when he died, that got him out of. But Junior couldn't do it because couldn't say anything because when Jid and John come over, but they came on under another name, like they come on Second Saved.
That's right.
On another name. But at big store where you all practice there, back that big store on the hill, like going to Ellis Avenue exit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that was one of the Jidney Jungle that were up in the country up there. That's where they started it up somewhere up North Mississippi.
Okay, and Granddaddy ended up working there as well, right?
He was working there when I started, but we went to school together.
Oh, so is that so y'all met at school or did y'all meet at the store?
Oh, before we married, I had we had gone to school together down at McIntyre.
Okay.
And I left when we were going into the 9th grade. I left, and he was still there. But I didn't meet him. I didn't see him. They lived down here off of Washington Street down there under that hill. I didn't see him. We weren't thinking about being girlfriend or boyfriend or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll see him sometime if I go through the bottom. Might be standing down there talking to someone. But it's just friendship, But anyway, this other thing started in 60 something because when he worked, I worked out in the store. I worked out in the food store. I left the job that Ann had that I took over for helping her, and I went out in the store, and I was doing the food, frozen the food, the price change, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
we were just friends there. I talked to him. I knew him.
Yeah.
But I don't know what started this. A guy I worked there named Pee Wee, and I think James was trying to. I told him, I said, I know how you got started with me, because Pee Wee told him to ask me to come to go out sometime, like going down to the Blue Room. So one time he asked me to go, and I said no. And then he kept asking, and I finally went to the Blue Room, Yeah. That's what got that started,
Okay.
But he wanted to move in. You're not moving in. You're not going to move in. Just take your little clothes. I see I was living on 3rd North. I got living and I had me a house over there, 3 rooms. And
were you the only one that lived there? Or
no, in the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I lived upstairs. It was an apartment.
Okay.
The owner, they lived downstairs there, and I lived upstairs. And he came and he would bring his little clothes because they didn't have a bathtub, with running water.
Yeah.
So he would come and take his bath, and he'd leave his little clothes there. But you take your little clothes on home. Yeah. But I was up there. I was 20. Well, how old were I at 62? And 62, 20.
25.
20. Okay.
I know you and Granddaddy are both 25 when you got married. So how long did y'all kind of spend time together before you got married?
Well, he kept pressuring me to get married, because his dad didn't allow him to stay out till after 12.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could stay out that time till I wanted to, if I wanted to,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he couldn't stay out till after 12, so he got tired of that. If he went in after 12, he had to sleep in his car on the porch.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't want to do that, I think. He wouldn't let me know that he wouldn't. But he wanted, so finally, well, that was a long time, though, before we started together, though. Because when my aunt went to Texas, and she came back, and she was trying to stay out there with my mom, and well, there's too many people in that house anyway. That's why I moved out, because the boys were growing up, and I had sleeping in a room with my sister, but I had gotten me a little day bed that I let out and, take up. But anyway, what was I saying? I was living. I told Aunt Dude, I said, well, you can come stay with me and take my living room, because I don't have anything in the living room. I said, you can take the living room, and okay, say that to you. But I didn't know I was gonna get married, because I hadn't met up with James yet. Like going in, thinking about getting married. But anyway, after that. When James and I started, when we got married, he wanted Aunt Dude to move, so because he wanted the house to himself and me, So I had to tell her that she needed to try to find her place.
Yeah. How did she react to that? How was that?
She didn't act like as if she was angry, because she knew that.
Yeah.
She respected that.
Yeah.
She got her little place down there on, it's off of, I can't even remember the street down off of Monroe, on street. You don't know where Monroe Street is,
No. No, I don't.
The library's on Monroe, and police station is on Monroe.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So, right here, we're in the home that you've lived in for a long time now.
Right here.
Yeah, for I guess 62.
What is this? Is 69 to?
Yeah, so 56 years. Yeah, so how did that come about? How did you end up buying this house?
How did you end up buying this house?
Yeah.
Well, there were Lily Washington. We were all in a club together, which we called a home demonstration club. Then we named it another club, because we got out of home demonstration. Okay, but she wanted a home to live in, and she was looking for some property, and so she was working at Piggly Wiggly. And she kept asking people about, did they know about some property that she might be able to buy. So finally, a man that worked at the, what is this over here? This government place over here.
Okay, yeah.
He told her about this property here. And it was 23 acres. She didn't want a little place pot for to build her house on. So she didn't want her in 23 acres. She didn't have the money to buy 23 acres of land. Yeah. So she brought this to the club members and asked, them, did they want to buy some land, some property. And, I said I would like to have some property, and Lucille said she would like to have some property. So we got together and started meeting down at the YMCA, and finally we knew we couldn't buy all this much property, so we started asking people, and other people would ask, so one day no. So finally we got enough people to buy property out here. Some could buy two acres, and we bought one. I would love to have bought two. I asked my dad for some money, but he didn't give me no. He didn't give me money.
So was the house already here, or did y'all get the house?
We had the house built.
Okay. Yeah.
We had to get the. What you get? The thing is. I called it the other day because talking to somebody that was spider. I can't figure out was spider. But anyway, we had to buy that. To get the. After we got the house built, property cleared off. We had to get it cleared off. But I didn't know it had these many holes and stuff in it. It's the sinks play, because it's clay. in the 6, they say.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we got all cleared off, and there's a lot that you have to do before you can start building.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
But yeah, that's a blessing, and it's nice and tucked in in a neighborhood.
Yeah, got nice. We had most of our neighbors though has died.
Mm-hmm.
That started out with us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just one, the porters over there, and who else? Leon Wilson, that's right up the street there, and I think that's about all.
Yeah. Well, so that's 1969. So now I know that obviously a big thing that happened is that you had one child by adoption, which is my mother.
Yeah.
And so tell us about that process, because I know that there was, that was a full process. So tell us about it.
I had wanted children, yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any. So Lucille decided she was her friend with a lady that
and you're talking about Lucille, Granddaddy's sister.
Yes.
Yes.
She adopted Michael.
That's right.
Because Michael, I don't know where his dad were, but his mother, something got wrong with her mind.
Yeah.
And he wasn't being taken care of like he should have. So Annabelle told Lucille about Michael. So Lucille said, well, I'll take him. She had him adopted. And she said, and I said, but I didn't say anything. I said, well, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about adopting right then. But she kept wanting me, they adopt. I said, well. Then Dolores, who were in our club,
mm-hmm.
Her sister lived in Jackson, and she was keeping babies. Children that how people or women would keep children that something's wrong that in the home and they have to.
Yeah, you talking about like an orphanage, or you talking about like?
No, she just keep them at home until somebody decide they want to adopt them. They tell them they are can be adopted. Somebody gonna adopt. But anyway, so this little girl was over there, and we went over. No, we didn't go over.
Are you talking about like a foster home? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Foster home. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
But she was keeping for the place I bought Angela from. What is it? What is it?
Catholic Charities. Yes, right.
She was keeping some children for Catholic Charity. So the sister came over and talked with us about it and told us not to go see her.
Mm.
Not to go see that little girl.
Oh yeah.
And she went on back. The sister went on back to Jackson, I guess. So we said, I want to see her. I want to see what I'm gonna. Yeah,
see what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I need to see what I'm gonna get. So he and I went over
mm-hmm.
to see the child, and and we came back to that. When it was time for the sister to come again and talk with us, she said, "Did you all go over?" Because she knew it. She knew it had been over. Because I know she must have asked. I forget the name. Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't lie. Yeah, we did. So you all can't get her. You all can't have her.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
What we gonna do now?
So when was this? Was this how long was this before?
Before
you was this 73 or 74? Was this right before you end up adopting?
Well, you had to wait a while. We had to wait a while. When we went and talked to her sister, when she told us that we could get another child, so I had to decide whether I'm gonna get a boy, whether I wanted a boy or whether I wanted a girl. James wasn't saying nothing, why I said, okay, I'm gonna get a girl because a girl might help me some when she get older enough. Help me do some of this work right here, you know. What are girls supposed to do, you know? I said, I got a girl because I got a boy, and Jim be expecting him to help him do his work, you know. I said, well, so I decided, because he didn't care what I got anyway. I said, I would get a girl. I'm going to get a girl, whatever. I'll tell her what I want a girl. So we had to wait for her to be born.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who, or, you know, where, when.
Yeah.
But anyway, we waited, and they finally called us and said, okay, we got a girl, and then that told her where to go. They said, see her.
So how long?
We didn't see her then. But we had to go in and get some papers. It's like, you know,
That's right. Well, I know
a
that
lawyer and all of that.
I know that you end up getting her like 5 days after she was born, right? So like how long?
I think I was 7 days, but Aunt keep telling me it was 9. She was 7 days old.
7? Okay.
7 days old.
So
we had to wait.
How? That's how many days you had to wait? Oh wow, that had to be exciting because I mean you went from sitting there not knowing if, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey.
Yeah. Oh well. See, we knew it was gonna take a while.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. And you had been waiting for a
Yeah.
while already. Okay.
And but I didn't know who and what baby's gonna look like, you know. So okay, I thought they'd be bringing babies out, you know. They brought her out when we went, and Michael went with us.
Okay, really?
Mm-hmm. He was out of school that day, and so.
So I guess he was like 6 years old, and this is.
He was older than 6.
He's old.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was older than 6. But I don't know how Mike were, but we were, you know, we was keeping, you know, watching for Seal on a day that she was working and he was out of school. Anyway, he went with us, and I had got all the stuff I needed, a little basket and I had got the little carrier, you know, so dressed her up, and we went to the hospital to see James' mother. She was in the hospital over in Jackson, so we took the baby by there, and she could see the baby, you know, when we just had gotten her. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! So, what was it like raising her?
It was good. I mean,
Yeah.
that wasn't a problem really. She always
That's
wanted to
all.
do things for herself. She didn't want me to bathe her as much. I said, well, I want you to wash yourself really well. No, don't bathe her. When she was little, I mean, you know, going to school. She was going to school. Well, I guess, I was taking care of her until she got old enough to take care, you know, kind of do things for herself, you know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I always kept a book or something, a tablet and a pencil, so she, you know, carry around. She wasn't books, she carried around till it just tore up almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. She could read when she was very young. We would go down to the hut James was you know, he was in service, so he down there is where the guys go, and the women could go. Had a club also.
Okay.
So I take her down there, and when we have meetings, and she would read, and those little girls would want to know, how can Auntie read? We can't read. They got busy and started so they could learn to read. That enticed them to read, yes.
Wow.
But Angela's always trying to climb things. When I take her to the clothing store, maybe looking for me something. Well, I was always buying her something too, you know. But anyway, she'd climb up. If a pole was there in the place, she'd climb up the pole. And so I went to one of the Deborah Franco's dance recitals.
That's right. Yeah.
And so Angela she's always trying to flip her, you know, so I thought maybe I could just put her in acrobatics.
Yeah.
Went there and signed her up. She wasn't really old enough to go when I first signed her up, so I took jazz until she was old enough. It was just just a short while. So while I took jazz while she was getting ready to put her into dancing. So I couldn't put her in just acrobatics. She had to do ballet and tap. Those are the three things that went together.
Yeah.
Deborah wouldn't just give her one thing like acrobatics. So I said, well, I have to take all three. So I put her in there. She enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
But after a while, I started. Deborah would be hollering and smoking cigarettes and Coca-Colas. And I went there, wasn't in a good spirit that day, and she was hollering and going on. And I said, "Come on here, let's go." I don't want to go. And she stayed in there until she was ready to go to college.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I struggled all that time. Then, before about the 10th grade, 10th grade, she decided she wanted to do cheerleading. I said, she asked her daddy. She didn't ask me. She went to her daddy, and he told her okay. He told her yes, but he didn't pay for it. He didn't buy her tennis with stuff, when she needed to, start out into that class. So I said, oh, well, I know how it feels when a child is promised something and you not follow through. Here I go, taking up that too.
I know she played a lot of sports, and she had to end up narrowing them down at one point in time. Yeah,
because she couldn't go when she was in track one time. When they would go in certain places, Deborah Perico might have had something, so she just couldn't do it. She did something out there with a bat with.
So it was softball? Or are you talking about softball?
No.
Are you talking about tennis or?
Tennis.
You're talking about tennis with the racket, okay.
Yeah. She couldn't do that because that guy, when he wanted her to be there, she couldn't because she had to go to dancing. And dancing was her.
And she was playing basketball too.
She did. I had many back. That was when she got into the 7th grade.
Yeah.
She told me she had to have certain tennis shoes. Here I go buying these high-priced tennis. I didn't know that she didn't have to have them. She was Then when she got situated, had to get the uniforms and things and
That's
stuff.
Right.
She had to have the tennis that they wanted her to have. I said, well, why did you get these tennis ahead of time when you could have waited and got the tennis that I still had to pay for the outfit,
Yeah.
But y'all wouldn't have to pay for them high-priced tennis. I guess they were Adidas. I don't know what they were, but they were high. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we made it through that. So she didn't play basketball. Well, she played basketball in 7th grade. But then, after 8th grade, she had to catch the bus and go to Vicksburg High School.
That's right, yeah.
They was doing integration time, and, they had to level out schools because we had a white school and a black school,
Yeah.
So the white school was Vicksburg High at the time. It wasn't named Vicksburg High at that time. They changed the name when they integrated. Anyway, she had said, I want to go to Vicksburg High School for one year at least. I said, now you got 4 years to go.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that. We didn't know that she was going to be able, because I thought she would be going to Warren Central School.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I wanted to turn kind of the attention to you personally. I know that Granddaddy, he ended up coming to know the Lord, coming to follow Christ, kind of in his 30s or 40s or whatever. I think.
I don't know. I thought he was a teenager.
Oh yeah. But
I didn't know. I didn't know when he. You mean
But I'm talking about when he took
a minister.
Yeah, and I know when we started reading the Bible more is I think what I mean.
Oh.
It's like he started, because I remember he would tell me that he started reading the Bible more at that time, and then he ended up becoming a minister.
Well, he was a deacon first.
That's right. Yeah.
And then sometime later he became, after he got into a little mess, and then he became, some years later he became a minister, because they had told him he had been going to Bible study, Bible classes for a long time. He told me they was going at a YMCA. Some guys would get together, ministers and other Christians would get together and had a Bible study at the YMCA, and then moved from the YMCA to a church and Bible study, and he was just into the Bible at that time.
Yeah.
And after the people were telling him that he's going to become a minister. So sometime later he just became, he announced his calling.
Yeah, definitely. And so in saying that and talking about him, I wanted to ask you about your walk and kind of take us through your life and your walk with Christ, and kind of when you became a believer and just your growth.
We used to have to go to the Mona's bench, we had a week of praying, and then another 2 weeks of preaching. So I'd go with my sister and we'd go sit on the Mona bench, and I didn't know, why am I sitting on the bench? What I'm going to do? Whatever. I know I was supposed to be praying. I was praying, and saying, Lord have mercy, and I just never could get up and get up off the Mona bench and go up there and say anything, because I didn't know what I was supposed to be saying. So it was years later. I was 19 after the tornado, and I went to church, and I finally got off the Mona bench and went to accept Jesus Christ, and was baptized. That was 1954.
Yeah.
And that I was baptized.
Yeah.
And I didn't read the Bible like I should have been reading. But a few years ago I probably started. Cause we didn't take the Bible to church like we should have.
Yeah.
Like they do now, But anyway, we finally started taking Bibles to church. But it didn't have church for one Sunday a month.
That's right. And so I know that my mother always tell me that y'all would y'all had like 3 or 4 different churches that y'all went to. That went to different weeks in the month.
Well, yeah, he was a member. Well, he was a member of Holly Grove when we got married.
Yeah.
So Holly Grove's church was first Sunday in Circuit Man. So I would go with him on first Sunday. And then I'd go to my church, Travelers Rest, which I had been in there since '54. He'd been out, I don't know how long he'd been belonging to Holly Grove, but ever since they were very young.
Yeah.
And before that, they were out here to another church in town there before they moved. Anyway, I don't know how long when he was baptized, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was already in church, and I was too.
That's right. Well, Grandma, we really appreciate you coming on to the podcast, doing it with me, because our show's the Mississippi Trellis Williams show, so I'm trying to have it be Mississippi topics, and I know you've lived your whole life here in Mississippi, and so. I think it's a very interesting background.
Yeah, remember going to the coming from school and stopping at Crest downtown there on Washington Street. Of course, they had I didn't drink out the faucets though, but I had the faucet for colored. That's what they would have on it.
That's right, yeah.
And one for white.
Yeah.
And there were a place where you could buy ice cream parlor, they called it. go in there. We had a place that we had to go in, and they go through, and they had a place they go through.
That's right. See, that is something that I can't fathom. Me being born in 2000, it's just
you
completely
didn't have
different.
to deal with that.
Did not at all.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't have to deal with it if I didn't want to. If I didn't want to go in there, if I didn't want to drink at that fountain, I didn't drink out of it. If I didn't want to go in, but I saw a lady, a cafe right next to just before you get to Jin Jung. She would buy oyster loaf for her little child that she had with her. Go in there, pay that kind of money. Go pay that kind of money. She ordered at the front door, and then she had to go to the back door, and they bring it to her to the back door.
Mm.
And she come to the store. Why would you pay that much for it? And you couldn't go sit down and eat, or you couldn't go inside the place to get it.
Yeah.
I would not do it.
Yeah, that's something that's hard to even understand.
Yeah.
But you've told me this before. You actually saw Martin Luther King Jr. speak one time.
Of course, went to church, and there was so damn full of people.
I bet.
And I'm being short, and there, some guy set me up in the window.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. On the window ledge there, and I sat there and listened. Yeah.
Where was this?
What year was that?
No, I was saying, where was it?
Oh, is that I can't call that church's name.
But it's here in Vicksburg?
Yeah, over across from the school, across from not Temple High, the old school.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the name of the church.
Now, I do want to ask you. So, what do you remember? What period of time this was? Was this closer to the time that he died, or was this closer to the time of the big speech, the "I Have a Dream" speech?
Well, I don't really know.
So this was closer. You think it was closer to the time that he died? Was he already very famous at that point?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But he was just going to different, cities. They have him coming to speak. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Was it after the law, the Civil Rights Act law, or were you still separated?
He's still working in that, still working with that.
Okay,
Going to lunch counters, and sitting in.
So this was during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Just sit in. Well, they came and sit in at Jin Jungle also, but it was certain people that would do it. They had certain people to come and sit in and talk, and sit at the counter to be sued.
I see. So it was like the people that were members of the organizations and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Members, people of here of Vicksburg, but they working with that group, and they would go into and sit in at the counters. I had gone down to Wordsworth on Washington Street. I was by lunchtime, so I just went down there and sit at the counter at Woodworth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was okay. They waited on me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I know that there were a lot of different people that had different ideas. Like not everybody had the same ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So were there people that kind of, because I know that the whites only and the coloreds only, that was kind of like those were laws.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Were there some people that kind of broke out of that a little bit and just kind of served people that wanted to eat and that kind of thing?
The waitress, you mean? That left the waitress whether they wanted to wait on you or not?
Yeah.
But we went to, well, I don't know because, see, I wasn't there. I wasn't there to see it, I don't know. There's some places they didn't get waited on, so they just walk out because they were, they didn't want to start a disturbance. They didn't wait on at a certain time. They just walk out. Mm-hmm. But we went to a place. James and I don't know, we had gone somewhere. We stopped at a place, and we sat there in that place. We had gone somewhere for a reason. I don't know if we had gone. I don't know where we had gone. But anyway, we stopped at this. They would not wait on us. Did they bring us some water? I don't know if they did or not. We just sat there and waited and waited. We saw they wasn't going to get waited on, so we just left.
So that's kind of okay, yeah.
But we wasn't trying to do anything. We just wanted to stop and eat something, at that particular time, at that place. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just that. It's crazy to think that was the case at that time,
Yeah. And during the time when people would come from north and come down to help them, and they were living in a old house over there off of what's the street name? And they bombed that house.
Who bombed that house?
Somebody here in Vicksburg.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
So it was the house that some civil
guys,
rights activists from the north were in.
And here in Vicksburg, they all whoever was staying in that house. Nobody was killed.
They weren't there at the time.
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
But they didn't. Whoever bombed it didn't know that they weren't there.
Wow.
It's right off of Mission 66. Mission 66 didn't go through there right then, but at that time, but it was right off.
Yeah.
But another house was put up there, right? Since the hill has been graded down. It was sitting up on a high hill, right?
Yeah. Well.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, Grandma, very much again appreciate you joining us on the podcast.
Okay.
For sure.
Happy to do it.
Yeah.